She told me she didn't want anything serious. I remember the way she said it. Not cold, not cruel. Just firm. Like someone drawing a line in the sand, not to push you away, but to spare you from walking where you weren't invited. Let's not overcomplicate this, she'd said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear as if tidying the sentence itself. I nodded, pretending I wasn't already too deep, already losing sleep over a woman who swore she didn't want to be held too long. But I kept showing up, and she kept letting me. Her name was Mariah, laughed with her whole body, had this habit of biting her bottom lip when she was concentrating, like she was tasting the edge of every thought. She wasn't the first woman I'd dated after my divorce, but she was the first one who made me forget I'd ever been married. We met at a local food drive, one of those chilly Sunday mornings where the sky's trying to decide if it wants to rain. She handed me a crate of canned goods and smiled like we were already in on the same joke. I made some comment about the dented soup cans having more character, and she laughed, not politely, but that full-throated, head-tilted back kind of laugh that makes you want to say something funny again just to hear it one more time. She was magnetic. I was wreckage. Still, somehow we found rhythm. We started seeing each other casually. A drink here, a night in there. She never stayed the night at first. Always left before the sunrise like she had somewhere more important to be. But little things crept in. A toothbrush in my bathroom, a worn hoodie she left on the back of my chair, playlists she made me just for the drive. It wasn't love, not officially, but it was close enough to pretend. One night, curled up on my couch with her feet tucked under my thigh, I asked her what she was afraid of. Everything, she said without hesitation. Love makes you stupid. People lie. Bodies leave. Promises fade. Her voice didn't crack, but her eyes did. I didn't press. I just held her a little tighter. For 6 months, we existed in this strange, almost world. I wanted more. She didn't. But she never told me to leave. And I didn't know how to. Then came the weekend. She said she was going out of town, girls' trip, just a weekend upstate. I told her to take pictures, bring back stories. She kissed my forehead and said, "Don't miss me too much." I watched her drive off in her rust-colored hatchback, the one with the peeling bumper sticker that read, "Not all who wander are lost." I spent that Saturday like I always did when she was gone, fixing things that didn't need fixing, reorganizing the garage, alphabetizing my spice rack, cleaning the windows no one ever looked through. I didn't realize how much I'd let her become the soundtrack to my silence. Sunday afternoon, I drove into town to grab coffee from the little place she loved, the one with crooked art and uneven floorboards. I parked a few blocks down because Main Street was packed. That's when I saw her. At first, I thought I was wrong. Maybe someone who just looked like her. Same hair, same way of standing slightly pigeon-toed. But as I got closer, my legs started to forget how to walk. It was her, Mariah, standing outside the bookstore. With a man. Not just with him. Pressed into him. His arm around her waist like it belonged there. And in her arms. A baby. Tiny. Swaddled. Peaceful. I couldn't breathe. She rocked the child gently, nuzzling its cheek like she'd done to me once, absent-mindedly, when I was half asleep and she thought I wouldn't remember. The man said something and she laughed, the same laugh I thought belonged to us. Then she leaned in and kissed him. Soft. Familiar. Like she'd done it 1,000 times. My chest tightened. The world narrowed. I turned before they saw me. Walked, not ran, but fast enough to make people glance. I got in my car, shut the door, and just sat there, hands trembling on the wheel, trying to piece together what the hell I had just seen. A baby? She never mentioned a child. Never hinted at it. Not once. The drive home felt like reverse gravity, like everything I believed had flipped upside down. The woman who didn't want anything serious was holding a man and a baby like they were everything. When I got home, her hoodie was still on my chair, her toothbrush still in my bathroom, her scent still on my pillow. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at nothing, heart thudding in my throat. And then, almost mechanically, I picked up my phone and texted her. "How's the trip?" The 3 dots popped up almost instantly. So relaxing. Miss me? I stared at those words for a long time. Then I deleted the thread. Not out of anger. Not even sadness. Just because I didn't know what to feel yet. Part of me wanted to believe there was a logical explanation. A cousin, a friend, a borrowed baby for a photo. But the look in her eyes, that tenderness, that wasn't borrowed. That was real. And I knew then, something had been unraveling long before I saw it. I just didn't want to pull the thread. Not yet. I didn't sleep that night. I laid in bed, the light from the hallway spilling across the floor like a question I didn't want to answer. Her scent was still on the sheets, a blend of lavender and citrus, and it made everything worse. It made her feel real, tangible, still mine somehow. But I had seen her, not through a screen or hearsay. I saw her with my own eyes, smiling, cradling a baby, kissing a man with the kind of ease that comes from years, not weeks. My mind tried to explain it away. Maybe it was a brother. Maybe she was babysitting. Maybe this was all some bizarre coincidence, and I jumped to conclusions. But that kiss? You don't kiss your brother like that. You don't press your forehead to someone's and laugh with your whole chest unless something runs deep. And I knew her laugh. I thought I did. Still, I didn't ask. I didn't accuse. I didn't explode. Instead, I waited. She came back late Monday afternoon, walked into my place like nothing had changed. Her boots still muddy from whatever lie she'd told, her smile still soft as she leaned in to kiss me hello. I let her. She flopped down on the couch, stretching like a cat in sunlight. You wouldn't believe how loud one of the cabins was. I swear one of the girls brought half a karaoke bar. I nodded, playing along. Sounds wild. Yeah, and the baby at the next cabin over wouldn't stop crying. Made me grateful for silence. A baby. She said it like it was just background noise. I studied her face, the way her eyes scanned the room like they always did when she was trying to gauge my mood. She was good at that, at reading me. I'd never been good at reading her. Not really. Later that night, when she was brushing her teeth in my bathroom, I stood in the doorway and just watched her. Her reflection caught me staring, and she smiled, foam around her mouth. What? Nothing, I said. You're just hard to read sometimes. She spit, rinsed. Good. Keeps things interesting. I wanted to ask her then. About the man, the baby, the bookstore. But the words sat heavy in my chest, like lead, too dense to move, too dangerous to drop. Instead, I just nodded and said goodnight. But silence has a weight to it, and it presses down hard when truth is hiding underneath. Over the next week, little things started to fall apart. She was distracted, phone always face down, her replies shorter, her attention thinner. I noticed how she'd pull away slightly when I touched her. Not enough to say stop, but just enough to say not now. And I kept waiting for her to confess. For something. Anything. But nothing came. So one night, I followed her again. Not like a stalker. I told myself that, over and over. I just needed the truth. Needed to see it again, to confirm I wasn't going insane. She said she was going to yoga. I knew she wasn't. She never even owned a mat. She drove to the same side of town. Parked on a quiet residential street with cracked sidewalks and a crooked lamppost. And there he was, standing outside the same little white house with peeling paint. He opened the door when she knocked, and she stepped in without hesitation. I sat in my car for 30 minutes. No lights flicked on. No baby cried. Just silence. And then she came out. Alone. Brushed her hair out of her face like she'd just woken from a nap. She didn't look around. Didn't check if anyone had followed. She walked back to her car and drove off. But I stayed. Waited. Eventually, he came out too. Shirt wrinkled, barefoot. Lit a cigarette like he needed it more than air. I got out. Walked right up to him. He stiffened when he saw me. Probably thought I was a neighbor. Or a threat. You don't know me? I said. But I know her. His eyes narrowed. Who? Mariah. Silence. A pause. Then, you her brother? I almost laughed. No. I am her boyfriend. He looked away. Took a drag. Damn. That was it. Damn. You live here with her? I asked. He shook his head. Used to. Off and on. It's complicated. That baby, I said. Is it yours? He hesitated. And in that moment, I knew. Knew he was trying to decide if I deserved the truth or just another version of the lie she'd been feeding me. She's ours, he finally said. Mariah and me. Harper. She's almost 8 months. 8 months. My knees nearly gave out. I met Mariah 9 months ago. That means the entire time. From day one. She was already pregnant. He must have seen the color drain from my face, because he stepped closer. She said it was over, he said. Between us. That she needed time to think, to be on her own. I laughed then. Not because it was funny, but because it was tragic. She told me she didn't want anything serious. He sighed, crushed his cigarette under his heel. Yeah, she told me that too. I walked away without another word. Drove home in silence. No music. No thoughts. just the ringing in my ears and the growing hollow in my chest. That night, I stared at her as she slept beside me, her mouth slightly open, hair a tangled mess on my pillow, breathing slow and even. And all I could think was, who the hell did I fall in love with? And how long had she been pretending not to love anyone at all? She looked so peaceful that morning, wrapped in my comforter like she belonged there, like nothing in the world had shifted. I watched her wake up slowly, stretching like a cat, blinking the sleep from her eyes before meeting mine with that familiar smirk. "Morning," she said, voice thick with dreams. And for the first time, I didn't say it back, because I couldn't pretend anymore. Couldn't smile at a woman who had split her life into pieces and handed me the version least worth keeping. I'd spent months building something with her, something I thought was fragile but real. Turns out, it wasn't fragile. It was fake. And she was a master at holding mirrors in front of men like me. Mirrors that showed us only what we wanted to see. I got up without a word and made coffee. Not for both of us. Just for me. She wandered into the kitchen, hair knotted, yawning. She leaned on the counter and watched me like she used to. But the air between us had thickened. Even she could feel it. That tension you can't name, but you know, like a storm that hasn't broken yet. "You're quiet," she said, pouring herself water. I nodded. A lot on my mind. She waited, sipping slow, but I didn't offer more. She didn't ask. Not yet. That afternoon, I sat in my car again, this time outside the White House. I waited until I saw her car pull into the driveway. Alone. No baby this time. She didn't knock. She used a key. 15 minutes later, I called her. She answered on the second ring, voice breathless. "Hey, everything okay? Where are you?" A pause. Just 2 seconds, not long, but 2 seconds too long. "Running errands," she said. "Why?" I almost admired how calm she sounded. How easily she lied with her mouth full of someone else's name. "You sure?" Another pause. "Yeah. Why are you asking?" I didn't answer. I just hung up. She texted a minute later. That was weird. "You good?" I stared at the screen, then typed 4 words I never thought I'd send. "We need to talk." That night, she came over wearing the sweater I told her once made her eyes look like moss in sunlight. She brought takeout. Her attempt at normalcy. At routine. I didn't touch the food. We sat on the couch. The same couch where we first kissed, where we whispered half-truths into the space between us, where I let myself believe I could be enough for a woman who didn't even know what she wanted. She tucked her feet under her, like always, and waited. And I asked, as gently as I could, "Who is he?" The silence that followed was different from the others. This one was jagged. Sharp. Her mouth parted, but no sound came out at first. Then, "What are you talking about?" "Mariah," I said softly. "I saw you. With him. With the baby." And just like that, the air cracked. Her face changed. Not guilt, not fear, but something else. A quiet resignation. Like someone who'd been walking on a tightrope for too long and finally decided to fall. She didn't deny it. Didn't flinch. She just whispered, "You weren't supposed to see that." Those words stung more than I thought possible. You weren't supposed to see that. Not "I'm sorry," not "let me explain." Just a simple acknowledgement that my hurt was the result of a poorly timed accident. "How long?" I asked. She looked down. "Since before we met." "The baby's yours." She nodded. Slowly. "Her name is Harper." I stood up, the couch groaning beneath me. "Why didn't you tell me?" Her eyes welled, but she didn't cry. "Because I didn't know what I wanted. I still don't." I laughed, bitter, hollow. "No, you knew. You wanted comfort without commitment. A soft place to land between the chaos of a child and the man you weren't sure you loved anymore." She wiped her cheek. "That's not fair." "No," I said. "It's not. But neither was giving me half a version of your life and asking me to build something real from it." She stood, reached for me. I stepped back. "I cared about you," she said. "I still do." "No, Mariah. You cared about what I gave you. Safety, silence, space. But not me. You never let me see all of you. Just the parts you could afford to lose." She crumbled a little then. Her face cracked. And finally, she said what I'd needed to hear all along. "I'm sorry, but it was too late. Because some truths don't break you. They reshape you." And I wasn't angry. I wasn't even heartbroken anymore. I was just done. She left without another word. I didn't stop her. I didn't ask where she'd go. I didn't tell her to stay. I spent that night on the same couch where our story began, surrounded by the echo of a woman who never truly arrived. only pass through. And in the quiet, I wrote a letter I'll never send. Not to her, to myself. You didn't miss the signs. You just chose to believe in something kinder than the truth. That's not weakness. That's hope. But now you know. And next time, you won't ask for permission to see the whole story. You'll demand it. It's been 6 months now. Her hoodie's gone. The toothbrush, the playlists, the scent, all of it. But sometimes I still hear her laugh when I pass by the food drive. And I wonder if she ever told the next man the truth. Or if he, too, thinks she just doesn't want anything serious.